most rare earth projects that are being developed in the world today have already been around for 15 to 20 odd years, and most of them still haven't been built. We started with Mosaic on this project in 2023, and we're targeting 2030 for production, circa 7 years. This is extremely fast. And the reason why we can do this is because we're bringing all the IP that we've learned at Phalaborwa to bear on the project in Brazil, and this makes for much shorter timelines, and it makes for a very low capital intensity project as well.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by George Bennett, the CEO of Rainbow Rare Earths. George, very good to speak with you. Your shares hitting an all-time high this morning after that economic assessment suggested Uberaba could replicate the success of Phalaborwa. What makes this project so attractive from a cost and margin perspective?
Well, thanks for having me this morning, Stephen. Yes, I'm very pleased to see our shares hitting an all-time high. And yes, definitely the Uberaba project not could, but it will replicate the success that we see at Phalaborwa. Similar to Phalaborwa, we're extracting rare earths from waste residue called phosphogypsum as a result of phosphoric acid production in Brazil. The beauty about this project is that it's a live feed. In other words, the phosphoric acid production facilities are still ongoing for another 30 plus years. So this is a very long life project with the average grade of the rare earths in the phosphogypsum at above 0.5%. TREO, which when you compare that to ionic clay projects, is a significantly higher grade with very easy, we've got no mining costs. This is what sets it apart. Similar to Phalaborwa, we don't have to drill and blast, we don't have to haul, we don't have to crush and mill, we don't have to produce a mixture with concentrate before we crack it. This comes straight from the phosphoric acid plant feed into our rare earth processing plant, extraction plant. And as I said, all those costs associated with a typical hard rock mining project or even an ionic clay project, we don't experience with this project in Uberaba.
How does that change the economics and the risks then, George, compared with traditional rare earth mining?
As I mentioned, most traditional rare earth mining projects you've got your geological risk, you've got your mining risk, and then you've got a whole lot of processes to get it to a point where Rainbow start with extracting the rare earths. We start with a direct acid leach, and then we go into continuous ion exchange circuit, and we'll be going into solvent extraction, very similar to what we're doing at Phalaborwa. So all those typical risks associated around that part of your mining is not apparent with this project, and that's what makes our EBITDA margin sitting at circa 69 or 70% EBITDA margin, and with a very low operating cost compared to other rare earth projects.
George, you're partnering with Mosaic, it's a major global fertiliser producer. What does their involvement bring in terms of expertise, infrastructure, and also speed to development?
Yes, I'm very proud that we are partnering with a global fertiliser business. I think they're number 2 in the world. In Mosaic, they're a multi-billion-dollar business, and we've been able to secure this project, and which will be going to the pre-feasibility stage now, and then going into a joint venture agreement on positive outcome of the pre-feasibility stage during the definitive feasibility study. But and we've also footprinted our partnership shareholding ratio of 51% for Mosaic and 49% for Rainbow. So this makes it a very significant project that's very value accretive to Rainbow, and not only in terms of NPV, but also in terms of earnings for Rainbow. So what Mosaic bring to the party is that this is an established site right in the middle of the sugarcane belt in Brazil. We don't have to apply to move any villages or to remove any pristine rainforest or Amazon jungle. As I said, it's the middle of the sugarcane belt. It's a brownfield site. It's largely permitted for a lot of the reagents that we'll be using on site. It's already fenced, similar to Phalaborwa. And once again, we've really got land allocated within this site of the Uberaba project in Brazil for our processing plant. So they bring a huge amount of infrastructure to the project. They bring a huge amount of shortening the time frame in terms of permitting that we expect. And you'll have seen that we expect this project to be targeting production in 2030. This is exceptionally fast paced for any mining project, not that we're a mining project per se, but for bringing any rare earth project online. Most rare earth projects that are being developed in the world today have already been around for 15 to 20 odd years, and most of them still haven't been built. We started with Mosaic on this project in 2023, and we're targeting 2030 for production, circa 7 years. This is extremely fast. And the reason why we can do this is because we're bringing all the IP that we've learned at Phalaborwa to bear on the project in Brazil, and this makes for much shorter timelines, and it makes for a very low capital intensity project as well. Once again, our capital intensity will be below $300 million, which is very low for these types of rare earth projects.
George, how do you see Brazil emerging as a rare earths producer?
Well, I think it's been well documented over the last 12 months or so that Brazil is actually becoming it's starting to emerge as a very, very significant potential supplier of these rare earth metals to the Western market. You'll have seen the US make some announcements that they are keen to align themselves with Brazil and the rare earth projects in Brazil to create that independent Western supply chain outside of China. And Brazil is seen as being at the forefront of emerging in this area, of being a reliable supplier of rare earth elements to the Western supply chain. But as I said, with the speed of what we are seeing with Mosaic, we believe Rainbow will be able to bring this project into production very, very quickly, as I've indicated earlier, along with the support of Mosaic, who are a very, very good partner to be in partnership with.
You mentioned the next steps of pre-feasibility study. What milestones should investors watch for as Uberaba moves towards development?
Well, you said it yourself. It'll be the pre-feasibility, start of that pre-feasibility, which we're already working on as a team. The Mosaic and Rainbow teams have been working very closely on the economic assessment, working very well together, and we've already started outlining the roadmap for the pre-fees. And we'll be announcing the start of that shortly, and then it'll be the results of that pre-feasibility study and any other improvements to the Uberaba process that the Rainbow brings to the pre-fees. We'll also announce these as well.
George, I hope you'll continue to keep us updated with your progress. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
George Bennett, the CEO of Rainbow Rare Earths.